Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Well, I don't know about you guys, but for me, every time when I look over the news, the same people, the same titles, the same ideas are pushed for me to read. And I'm pretty sure the same is for you guys. And today, when I just started browsing through the news, I realized that I see the same people and the same ideas. And it was so striking that it resembled George Orwell's dystopian social science novel, 1984. Um, I confess that I read this book about 20 some years ago, and very, very enlightening book. I suggest anyone should read it, and I'm pretty sure many of you did. That's why I think you are still here with me. Now, since I read it so long ago, I just took some snapshots from internet just to use the right terms in my uh, analysis of the similarities of the terms and people in the novel and the current events and people in the real world, in current real world, current world affairs. So um, this book is who the people for people who do not know about this book. This book is about totalitarianism, is about mass surveillance, repressive regimentation of people, and this is talking about a perpetual war, omnipresent government surveillance, and propaganda. It's about the big brother, cult of personality, doublethink, thought police, thought crime, newspeak. Um, Basically, this is these are the main ideas. Obviously, I'm missing some, and people who are very familiar with this book would be able to point it out. But nevertheless, the idea is more important than the technicalities. So we'll start with the first thing. We have over there in a book a big brother, which is a leader of a country, of an alliance of countries, because this book talks about three different countries. They are always at war, and from time to time, it just rackets come and bomb the cities, and they don't even know if that is really the other side, the opponents, the enemies, or is your government that tries to inflict fear in you. Now, that's a theme that I see that is very similar with the current situation when many times we are pushed into a fear frenzy uh, with various reasons, various ideas, war, famine, uh, diseases, and one another groups, and crime, neighborhoods, and police brutality, and so on. You're afraid to even walk outside or to make friends. So this big brother is the good guy, is the in this book is the perceived good guy who we should model, we should praise, we should admire. And this big brother is, as it's in Plato's cave allegory, um, the good. This is like the perfect, the good, the idea of perfection, the sun, the good. So in this case, when this guy, this the big brother is always on a TV screen, is somewhere, always you can see the image of big brother. In this case, the big brother here could be, in reality that we live in right now, could be Zelensky, who is always on the TV. He's always dressed the same. He's always sending us the same message. He's the good guy. He's the victim, not the big brother. He's the victim. He's the good guy. And if you don't support him, you are criminals and you are helping the perpetual enemy. Now, the perpetual enemy in this case is the same guy who shows in 1984 about what, 5 minutes, is that what, 5 minutes of hate when everybody go in front of a TV screen and a guy is showed over there with certain features and everybody is supposed to yell and release their anger towards that particular individual who is a bad guy. In this case, that bad guy is, yes, you guessed it, Vladimir Putin. We have to show indignation and hatred towards that individual. It doesn't deserve, I'm not going into that. It's just that we are supposed to. You can show any signs of moderation or balance or objectivity regarding this individual, which is Vladimir Putin. So he is the guy with, I think it was 1984, with Jewish features or something. Put it aside, is not comparable here, but nevertheless, Putin is the guy that we are supposed to hate, and you can't say anything other than I hate you and spit and all that. You have to show support for that. Now we go to mass surveillance. We got a telephone, we got a laptop, we have a television. We are the most surveilled people that ever lived on this planet through all these methods. If you're not familiar with that and you have doubts, again, put aside the feelings of hatred towards individuals that maybe you were thought to hate, and just look into what Snowden released and what he did, and what he talked about the mass surveillance in the United States. You can consider him, again, a criminal, a traitor, whatever you want to consider him. The fact is that he revealed a mass surveillance that you and I should be aware, and I'm glad I'm aware of. I was aware, but not to that extent, just to be certain. Then we go to doublespeak. Doublespeak here is holding two opposite ideas in the same time, like war is peace, peace, war. You know, you can say, for instance, here, I want peace, but I want to send more weapons to Ukraine to fight the Russians. So that's doublespeak. You want peace, but then you will promote war, actually. It's a little bit of a stretch but if you read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So war is peace, peace is war. You know, the Ministry of Peace was actually the Ministry of War, but Ministry of Peace, the opposite. And in this case, is just supporting, let's support Zelensky in the name of peace. Doing that, we're just going to perpetrate and continue the war. Then we have the newspeak. The newspeak is the political correctness speech that we are supposed to engage with. We are supposed to use euphemisms, and we are supposed to avoid reality. We are supposed to alter our reality and alter our speech according to the reality we are supposed to notice. For instance, before, if you see someone, with a physical handicap, you should say, okay, that's a physical handicap. If you look at the dictionary, that's called retardation. Why? Because you have a physical, how should I put it? See, I'm looking for euphemisms right now. You look for a little defect, something that you're not able to perform physically at an average level. That's a retardation from normality, which is like the same. A perversion is something that is not natural. Perversion is something that is out of the normality. So you can't use that word for certain people who get involved in certain acts. You can't use it as a perversion because that's a bad connotation. You have to use it as a lifestyle. Or for instance, for the physically handicapped or physically retarded or mentally retarded, which is a proper definition of a situation, of a condition. You're supposed to be, there are differently abled individuals, or different ability something. Use all kind of euphemisms, but the idea is the same. The same. It doesn't mean that if I use the word that is in the dictionary, I'm being impolite. And besides the point, so what if I am? Who says I have to be polite? I choose to be polite. But no, nowadays you have to choose certain words in order to express certain ideas, so you don't lose your job, or you're kicked out of the country club, or you simply cannot afford surviving because you can find a job because you're going to be ostracized. So that's double speak and newspeak. Propaganda. I think we can cover that. It's very easy with the propaganda here, where we have a very clear polarization, a distinction on this planet right now in the world between the good and the bad. So they both engage. I know this side better than the other one because I'm not really allowed to know the other one. But this one, I know it very well, and they look at it mostly in absolute good versus absolute evil. Now, this is a religious worldview. It's not the real worldview, which could be many shades or nuances of gray in between the black and white, the extremes. But we're supposed to look at this idea coming from this person, always bad, coming from this part, always good. And we are propagandized with this kind of extreme absolute terms and terminology that is ascribed to this part, and the other one, as I said, with the negative connotations. Perpetual war. We are in a, I'm talking about the United States, we are in a perpetual war because it's always the war on something. It's the war on poverty, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on right now is the Russians, and it's going to be perpetual because we have the military-industrial complex who has a very big influence on certain areas, and they live through war. Now you have, again, double speak. Use, for instance, NATO. NATO is considered a defensive alliance. Well, if it were so, then tell me what was defensive about Yugoslavia War 1999. That's an example. Now, what was the extension of NATO towards Russia if it's a defensive? Oh, preemptive? Well, if you have preemptive interest, then the other side should have the same right. But there you have it. No, because those are the bad guys we decreed, and we are the good guys without evidence. Not evidence. Because look in the past, I don't know, 25 years and see who, I don't know, invaded who, and how many people died because of who, and how many people did not die because of who. So you can easily see that only in the last 25 years. That's the easiest way. You can go more if you want. You can go more. You can go to the Second World War if you want. Starting from there on, you have one particular angle being on one particular side of the history, which is the good. So I was just thinking about the similarities between 1984 and the current events, and obviously there are many other things that are similar, are many things that are not similar, but look at globalizations, look at, for instance, the idea of global warming. There are certain topics you're not allowed to think differently about that. Mass surveillance, I mean, having this right here, on and off, my location, my time, I can be accessed without my knowledge. We know that. It's not ran out on TV and so on. They restrict, they tell us how to speak, what to speak, when to speak. And if you censor our speech and make us self-censor, or auto-censor our speech, that's going to make an censorship of our brains. A very good way I heard that being explained is by Jordan Peterson. I'm assuming you guys are familiar with him too. If not, you lost a lot. So Jordan Peterson as well. The same. It's not that he is the smartest guy in the world, but he is a fantastic individual in the current state that we live in. He is a very, very important intellectual. So thank you for being again with me today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See ya. Ciao.